All right, we got a 02E350 in here. I'm looking at. Actually, I had this van last week and put all new spark plugs in it in one coil pack because it was missing. And it has a little over 100. It's got a pretty low amount, a little over 100,000 miles on it. It's never had the spark plugs changed, so I went ahead and changed those. That's what he wanted done. And he had a misfire on coil number 3, I believe. And swapped the coil out. It ran good for about a week, and now it's back with another misfire. So I'm gonna go ahead and check it out and see what's going on with it. I've already got the launch hooked up, and we're gonna so anyway, I got a P0351 ignition coil A primary circuit fault. 351 would be coil number 1. So what we're going to do is go look at that and see. It could be a wiring problem, could be a bad coil, or it could be a bad spark plug. We're not going to look at the spark plug because I just put them in. I don't believe that's the problem. So the easiest thing to do normally would be to swap out the coils and see if the misfire moves to a different number, different position. But I don't know how feasible that is on this truck with the way the access is to the coil. So I'm going to go ahead and see, make sure that nothing happened to the connector, that it didn't come off or anything. I don't believe that happened because they all clicked when I put them on, but more than likely it's just going to be a coil and kind of an easy video here. But anyway, we'll go under the hood and see what we're looking at on number 1. All right, so on a Ford V8, 1, 2, 3, 4 is on the left side, and then on the driver's side, or on the right side, and then on the driver's side, 5, 6, 7, 8 is on this side. So number 1 is back in here. I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can take this off and get this out of the way. And see if I can get in there. All right, the coil is back there. So what I'm going to do is just go get a light real quick and make sure it's plugged in still. I'm sure it is. I think it's running, but it's just not running perfect. I didn't drive it that far. I just pulled it in the driveway here. It seemed like it's not like a dead miss, maybe just a slight misfire. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that coil real quick, get a light. All right, so if you want to do some quick wiring checks on this, I got the key on, and we're only going to check the power side on this. There should be 2 wires going to the coil. You're going to have a power all the time when the key's on, then you're going to have a control wire, which is what the PCM uses to control the coil. We're only going to check the power side on this because I'm not going to, I know most people that watch this channel are not professional mechanics and they don't have a scope at home. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to scope this out because I'm 99.9% sure it's a coil anyway, but I'm just going to show you how you can do some quick checks. So you should have two wires going to your terminal. Grab the terminal. One of them is red and green. There's a green. The green is going to be the control wire. Your red's going to be your power all the time. And yeah, we got 12.4 volts to that, so we don't have a wiring problem there as far as it is getting power to the coil. We could have a control problem, but I don't think we do. And if I wasn't so sure that it was a coil, I would just go ahead and put a scope on it, but I'm not going to put a scope on it for this video, or just get my laptop out and do all that when I'm 99% sure that it's this anyway. And anyway, so you can call me a hack or whatever, but we're just going to do some couple more quick checks on it. You can check resistance on it, and how you do that is put your meter on ohms and put your 2 leads, one on each terminal on the coil, and check it. Ford says between 0.3 and 1 ohms is acceptable, and we are at, hopefully you can see that, we are at 1.1, so basically 1 ohm, which would be the high side of what 1.2 I saw. So that's basically the high side of what you should have. I don't, like I said, I don't think it's got, that's not really the problem with this. I think it's just the coil itself is just malfunctioning. I'll check the brand new one here. And the brand new one has almost the exact same resistance. So 1.1, that's brand new. Now I do recommend, so that's just a few wiring checks you can do. I would also check the spark plug if I hadn't already just changed the spark plugs in this about a week ago. So if you get that P0351, those are some of the basic checks you can do at home without a scope. Is check to make sure you're getting power to the coil. Check the resistance of the coil. If your coil is in pretty bad shape, you probably see higher resistance. Considering that the coil still works, it's just, you know, misfiring. It's not really showing up on the meter that it has that's super high resistance. It's got pretty much normal resistance on it. So that's just some of the basic things you can do. Definitely take your plug out and take a look at it. If it hasn't been changed in a long time, I would change the plug when you change the coil. If you're just going to do one, you know, one plug and one coil. So anyway, it may be best to change all the plugs and all the coils, but even that, like, I'm kind of torn on that because I think the Motorcraft coils are probably better than the aftermarket ones. So if it's still working, why change it? But normally I don't change all the coils when I do. If I get a misfire, I just change the one coil and then that's it. So all I'm going to do is just, I got this coils, aftermarket one. would rather have the Motorcraft, but they were out of stock and I didn't want to wait. So I got a lifetime warranty one here, and we're going to throw it in. So all you're going to do is just throw it in there, put the bolt in and plug it in, and then we're going to see how it runs and put the scanner back on it and see what we did here and go from there. Alright, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but on this truck, I took this airbox out and did, I think, the first two under the hood on the front here. I think I had to loosen the dipstick tube bracket out of the way a little bit for the second coil, and then I did the other two in the back. And then on this side, on the driver's side, if you're doing plugs, take your airbox out right here. I think there's 4 8mm bolts and a couple of these clamps, and this will pull out, and that you can get to the, I believe on this side I did 3, and then you got the one in the back. So there's not a whole lot in the back. That's for me, it was just easier to do it in the front, easier to reach. So that's how I did it. If you're doing plugs too on these, like I said, I did that a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to worry about those. Those are all good. So I use Motorcraft on those. Don't get some kind of weird off-brand. Just spend a little extra money and get decent. They're not that expensive anyway. So anyway, I got that coil ends plugged in. Make sure it snaps in good. And I'm going to go ahead and put this air filter back on, and then we'll go back inside and see if we have the code and how it's running. Alright, so I went ahead and I pulled it out here. It seems like it's running okay. I haven't drove it yet. I'm just going to go ahead and clear these codes right now. And I'm going to run the key on engine running test on this. And if we have that P0351, that should pop right back up. That's usually, when on those codes, I'll pop right back up. So I'm going to go ahead and run this test real quick and see what it comes back, and then I'll let you know. It usually takes about a minute or two on these to run. Alright, so I went ahead and ran the test, and we have no more misfire codes. This came on, I turned the AC on while I was running the test. The cylinder head temperature's out of range, I just started it. And the brake switch, because I didn't have the brake on when I was running the test. This does have 132,000 on it. So if you have that kind of mileage, it would be a good idea to change your spark plugs. Like I said, we already did on this. So what I'm going to do now is I might clear those codes out just because, yeah, there's no actual code. There's P100, which just means it hasn't done enough of the, you haven't driven enough to run its test yet. What we're going to do now, I'm just going to go take it for a quick drive and monitor the misfire data and make sure that there's no misfires, and we'll come back and end this out, but it looks like it's fixed. I haven't actually drove it yet. So what I'm doing is just looking for I'll tell you this don't have, I thought these had misfire. Let me look for the misfire date and I'll come back. Alright, so I don't have misfire date on this one. I guess it's too old. For some reason I thought this year did have it, but they don't have it. I'm just gonna go take it for a spin real quick and watch the power bounce here and see if anything comes up. Feels pretty good. I think we're good, but anyway, I'll check it anyway. So I'm gonna go take it for a quick drive. I'll come back and we'll finish this out. So I'm just driving this around on a test ride. There's a little pond or lake or whatever you want to call it here, and it's got a zip line on it, and people actually go in there and practice doing jumps and different tricks with I guess with their skis and their boards and stuff. It's kind of a neat little area. The zip line goes all the way up to there. So anyway, there's two deer right there in the road, baby deer and a mama deer. I've been driving this thing about 20 minutes. It runs perfect, no misfires. And you can't see the deer. I don't know where they went. They must have went up that hill. So anyway, I believe this one's fixed. So that's just kind of a little video of P0351. Hopefully you don't have like a driver problem or something like that with the ECM where you're having an issue with the wiring or electronics. 95% of the time it's probably a coil, possibly a spark plug. Usually a coil though if you get 351. Usually if you get a spark plug bad, it's a 301. But anyway, you never know. Sometimes it does weird stuff. So it's pretty much it for this. Check engine lights off. It's running real smooth. Everything's good. So it's just another fix. As always, thanks for watching and God bless.